Right now, as you sit here, there are 400 billion stars in the Milky Way alone. Around most of them, planets. Around many of those planets, the right temperatures, the right chemicals, the right conditions for something to crawl out of the mud and start thinking. The math says the universe should be saturated with life. Signals should be washing over this planet like rain. But you have never heard a single one. Not once. And the silence, when you actually stop and think about what it means, should terrify you far more than any signal ever could. In 1950, the physicist Enrico Fermi was eating lunch with 3 colleagues at Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico. The conversation had drifted to flying saucers, a pop culture obsession at the time, and everyone was laughing. Then Fermi stopped chewing, looked up from his plate, and asked a question that no one at that table could answer. "Where is everybody?" His colleagues laughed again. But Fermi wasn't joking. He had done the arithmetic in his head the way he always did, and the numbers disturbed him. Even with conservative estimates, slow ships, no faster than light travel, civilizations that expand at a cautious fraction of the speed of light, any species with a million-year head start should have colonized the entire galaxy by now. A million years sounds like a long time. It isn't. The Milky Way is over 13 billion years old. A million years is a rounding error. There has been enough time for a civilization to rise, spread to every star, and leave evidence we could detect with a backyard telescope. But we see nothing, hear nothing, find nothing. The galaxy is as quiet as a tomb. And Fermi's lunchtime question became the most disturbing open problem in all of science. Here is the surface-level answer, the one you probably already know. Maybe life is just rare. Maybe the conditions that produced you, liquid water, a magnetic field, a moon that stabilizes the planet's tilt, a Jupiter-sized gas giant in the outer solar system acting as a gravitational shield against asteroid bombardment. Maybe that combination is so improbable that Earth is a freak accident. A 1 in a trillion lottery ticket. This is what astronomers call the rare Earth hypothesis, formalized by geologist Peter Ward and astronomer Donald Brownlee at the University of Washington in their 2000 book of the same name. And for a while, it felt comforting. We're alone because the recipe for a world like ours is almost impossibly specific. Problem solved. Except it isn't solved. Because every year we find more exoplanets. In 2022, NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite had confirmed over 5,000 planets outside our solar system. Many of them sit in the habitable zone of their star. Some are rocky, some have atmospheres. The James Webb Space Telescope has already detected carbon dioxide and water vapor in the atmospheres of distant worlds. The recipe for Earth-like conditions is turning out to be far less rare than Ward and Brownlee hoped, which means the silence gets louder. If the ingredients for life are common, and the universe has had billions of years to cook, the absence of evidence isn't just strange, it's a clue. A clue that something is killing civilizations before they can make themselves known. This is where the story turns, and it might be the most important idea humanity has ever stumbled into. In 1998, economist Robin Hanson at George Mason University published an argument that reframed the entire Fermi paradox. He called it the Great Filter. The logic is cold and clean. Between dead chemistry and a galaxy-spanning civilization, there are a series of steps. Forming self-replicating molecules, becoming multicellular, developing intelligence, inventing technology, expanding beyond the home planet. Somewhere along that chain, Hansen argued, there must be a step that is almost impossible to pass. A bottleneck so severe that virtually every civilization in the universe fails at it. A filter. And the question that keeps astrophysicists and philosophers awake at 3 in the morning is not whether the filter exists. The math demands it. The question is where the filter sits. Behind us? Or ahead of us? If the filter is behind us, we got lucky. Maybe the leap from single-celled to multicellular life is the hard part. It took Earth almost 2 billion years to make that jump. 2 billion years of nothing but slime while the universe waited. Or maybe it's the leap to eukaryotic cells. Cells with a nucleus, with mitochondria, the biological engine that powers every complex organism on this planet. That event may have happened exactly once in Earth's entire history. A single merger between two microbes sometime around 2 billion years ago that gave rise to every animal, every plant, every fungus you have ever seen. Biologist Nick Lane at University College London has argued in multiple papers that this event was so unlikely, so dependent on a specific and unrepeatable set of conditions, that it may never have happened anywhere else in the observable universe. If Lane is right, then the filter is behind us. We already passed it. We are the winners of a cosmic lottery so extreme that the prize is loneliness on a scale that dwarfs comprehension. Every star you see at night is barren, every galaxy empty, and you are sitting on the only rock in the universe where anything is watching. But there is another possibility, and it is the one that should keep you up tonight. What if the filter is ahead of us? What if every civilization in the universe reaches roughly the point where we are now, splitting the atom, warming the climate, building machines that might outthink their creators, and then destroys itself? What if intelligence, at a certain threshold, is not an advantage but a trap, a self-terminating mutation? The evidence for this version is not theoretical. It is historical. Look at what happened the moment humanity cracked nuclear fission. Within 4 years, 2 cities were ash. Within 2 decades, the Soviet Union and the United States had built enough warheads to sterilize the surface of the Earth several times over. The Cuban Missile Crisis of October 1962 came down to a single man, Soviet submarine officer Vasily Arkhipov, refusing to authorize a nuclear torpedo launch while his captain and political officer both voted yes. One man, one vote. That is the margin by which your civilization survived to make this video. And nuclear weapons are a 70-year-old technology. The tools get sharper every decade. Engineered pathogens, autonomous weapons, artificial intelligence systems whose goals may diverge from the survival of the species that built them. Each one is a new filter. Each one is a door that only opens once, and on the other side is either the stars or silence. There is a detail about the great filter that most people miss, and it's the part that changes how you see the night sky forever. Every time astronomers discover that life's building blocks are common, amino acids in meteorites, organic molecules in interstellar gas clouds, water on moons of Jupiter, the optimist in you wants to celebrate. Life is everywhere, but Hansen's logic inverts that feeling completely. The easier the early steps are, the harder the later steps must be. Because if it's easy to get to where we are, and the galaxy is still empty, then the filter isn't behind us, it's ahead. Every discovery that makes the origin of life seem more probable is, paradoxically, evidence that something up ahead exterminates civilizations with near-perfect efficiency. Finding a fossil microbe on Mars, the thing NASA has spent billions trying to do, would be the worst news in human history. It would mean the early steps are trivially easy, and that the silence of the universe is not because life never starts, it's because life never finishes. This is why some scientists, among them physicist Max Tegmark at MIT and astronomer Milan Cirkovic at the Astronomical Observatory of Belgrade, have argued that the Great Filter may not be a single catastrophe. It may be a gradient, a slow, invisible narrowing. Not a wall, but a slope. Civilizations don't explode, they plateau. They turn inward. They build virtual worlds more compelling than the real one and never leave their planet. They exhaust their resources so gradually that by the time they notice, the math no longer works. They develop technologies of comfort so perfect that the will to explore simply evaporates. And from the outside, from a neighboring star system, a civilization that chose the simulation over the stars looks exactly the same as a civilization that went extinct. The signal is the same. Silence. You are part of a species that has existed for roughly 300,000 years. You have had radio technology for about 120 of them. You have had nuclear weapons for 80. You have had the internet for 30. You have had artificial intelligence capable of outperforming you on most cognitive benchmarks for fewer than 5. The timeline is accelerating. The filters are stacking. And the Milky Way is watching the way it has always watched, with 400 billion stars and nothing to say. Tonight, you will look up. Maybe not deliberately. Maybe just through a window or from a parking lot, or during the 2 seconds between your front door and your car. You will see a few stars through the light pollution, and each one of those points of light is a furnace burning for billions of years, surrounded by worlds where something could have lived, could have thought, could have built, could have called out. None of them did. Or, and this is the thought you won't be able to shake, all of them did, and none of them survived long enough for the message to reach you. The universe is not empty because life is rare. The universe is empty because something ends it. And the only question left is whether you are looking at the filter through a rearview mirror or through a windshield. The stars are not silent. They are a warning.